Welcome to another episode of Lost in the Script TV. Hopefully y'all enjoyed your New Year's with your families. Shout out to George. All Might is here. I don't give a F if there's no mic. All the Umar Knights finally going to get all the smoke today, and I dare anyone to stop me. How you doing, George? What up, Regina? Happy Gregorian calendar year celebration to Duke and to the chat. How y'all doing? 2026 is here. Year went by extremely fast. I know y'all probably heard that a lot in your daily lives. People been saying that a lot. It's already 2026. We already 3 days in, and boy, they starting out with a bang, ain't they? Literally. With stuff going on with Trump in Venezuela. We've seen some entertainment news, some bomb drops that we're gonna get into. It's almost like this is just an extension of last year, you know. Same old, no surprise. Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure this is right. All right, we're gonna get right into it. 2026. According to the Chinese, I think they said it's the year of the horse, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, they hit the ground running. So, straight to it. Get right into it. The winners and losers of 2025 and going into 2026. First, we start with the loss that we had to, a couple people we lost, obviously a lot of people we lost last year. But as of December 30th, we lost a few people. Isiah Whitlock Jr. from The Wire, known for his iconic saying at this point, you know, sheee-it. When he passed away, it was announced, and everybody, you know, unanimously came through and said the same thing, posting the clips all over social media. Rest in peace to him. Regina, I didn't know about this. Regina told me that Richard Smallwood passed away. Gospel. We lost a lot of. I realized when I went through to see all the people we lost in 2025, there was a lot of like elder stateswomen, the people that were iconic in their role, whether it be in entertainment, whether it's music or movies or activism. There was a lot of loss last year. You know, when you talk about age and sickness, obviously I said Richard Smallwood, Isiah Whitlock, Assata Shakur passed away. We're gonna get to that, how that ties into some politics maybe later on. Carl Carlton, she's the bad man. He passed away. Sly Stone, Viola Fletcher, obviously from the Tulsa massacre, one of the last survivors, passed away. So, and then when you just talk about like D'Angelo, you know, then you talk about the other side of it, there's a tragic situation, Malcolm Jamal Warner and Angie Stone. So rest in peace to all those people that we lost. We'll go into a little of this. Hold on. MP Jr. Playing the state on 21. Instagram writing, "It's tremendous sadness that I share the passing of my dear friend and client Isiah Whitlock. You loved him, brilliant actor, and even better person. May his memory be a blessing. Our hearts are so broken. He'll be very missed." And so, as I said, let's give peace and a quiet and all of the people that we lost. All right. Now we get straight into 2026. And with that, immediately somehow, first day of the new year, since we're talking about winners and losers, name when you talk about year, whether they had a win or a loss, made a lot of money, extremely successful, but they don't mean. Um, First up, we this right here. Hold on. Drake and Adin Ross hit with new lawsuit promoting steak. Umar effing loser. Virginia said you're choppy in and out on my TV. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure everything is fine. All right, we should be good now. That's good on my end at least. This is a lawsuit I felt there's already been some inklings of this type of lawsuit coming down for the past couple months. I think Drake has had a couple actually he's been a part of a couple lawsuits. Obviously, the one he put against UMG, which was thrown out, but he appealed it. Then you had another one that happened in Missouri, I think, against Spotify, or maybe that was against him as well with State. Yeah. Then you had another one from a rapper who's suing Spotify, and they're including Drake in it, saying that he is being botted billions of listeners on his music, calling it all fraudulent. And they were suing Spotify, saying that they knew about this and these practices, but did nothing about it because they were earning money from it. So with this lawsuit, it's a RICO. Drake and Adin Ross hit with new lawsuit for promoting state. Both rapper and the streamer were hit with two back-to-back lawsuits related to the online casino platform in October. Drake and Adin Ross are being sued over the promotion of Stake. The federal class action lawsuit, as reviewed by Complex, was filed in Virginia on Wednesday, December 31st, and claims that the website is operating as one of the largest and most profitable illegal online casinos since 2022. Virginia said much better. All right, Virginia said they replaced Drake with Kendrick, so this is part of the process. Drake is getting too big for his britches. I see people say that a lot, but I don't. What has Drake done to show that he's a threat to anything? I think you only remove people who are a threat. I keep seeing people compare him to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was actually owned valuable things. Like, it's not comparable. I don't think Drake is a threat to destroy any type of system, any type of nothing. Everything that he's said in his music, everything he said publicly has said that he cares about him and his money. And I don't think they would ever do anything to bring him down because he wants to make more money. I just don't believe that. They make money with him more than they do without him. So George said he was trying to establish something for himself. When? Even in the lawsuit with UMG, he never once said that he wants to go independent. He never once has said he literally said in his music, I do not want to go independent. He has never said he wants to start his own label and run his own thing. He never said he want to get a bunch of rappers together or business people together and start a whole separate label. He's never shown that he was a threat to what they got going on at all. Streaming, how it's robbing all the people. He's never advocated against it until he came to the conclusion that it was affecting him negatively. But yeah. George said they're not trying to hook him up anymore. I would believe that if he wasn't one of them. He's also the people who run that industry. He's one of them. He's come from their lineage. So yeah, I just don't think he's a threat to them. His money started to get short. Now that I believe, and that goes into this. So the gambling thing. I remember years ago, I used to see streams of these people in these online virtual casinos. This is on Twitch. It was all these other streaming platforms. It was posted to YouTube, obviously. And these people in these virtual rooms would lose tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. Now, most of these dudes that played in these virtual casinos were, one, wealthy, obviously. And a lot of them were trust fund babies. So these dudes were whose parents or whatever did something for a living, where they might have been 24 years old, just out of college, or maybe still just sitting around, just not finishing semester, just pushing it back further and further. And they knew that they had like 5 years to just waste money. buy what they want, waste it on this and that, go wherever they want to go. And when they turn 30, they were going to inherit $20-30 million. And when they turn 40, they would inherit another tens of millions of dollars. So they just didn't care. I also saw people like academics doing it. But the problem is the people who do this on those platforms, they know that the people who watch them are typically younger teens. So they're 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds watching people waste this money in these virtual casinos, losing tens of thousands of dollars. So when Drake began to push the state situation, I think they said he was getting paid like $100 million a year to push his company, State. He went to Kick, started doing these live streams. Kick is known for being a website that has more, how do I say, alternative views when it comes to free speech. So they allow people to say the wildest stuff. Their audience is a little more edgelord, white. Just say it plainly. So a lot of young white males on that platform. So he went over there just like he did the Kanye thing. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna sell this gambling addiction to these young teens. So these person that's suing them, plaintiffs LaShawna Ridley and Tiffany Hines, allege the state misleads consumers, while allowing real money wagering disguised as virtual currency play. I love Kick. That's what George said. So, and I can just go right here because, like I said, there's another lawsuit that was tied to this. Rapper RBX sues Spotify over allegedly fraudulent Drake streams. Now, the reason why I'm bringing it up because this lawsuit that's talking about the gambling, basically, Stake is running around calling themselves basically a sweepstakes when they're actually acting as a casino. They say that they don't use real money, but you can buy gold. You can buy the currency within this platform. You can win or lose, and you can then turn that currency within the platform into real money. So they're able to get through the rules that say Prize Picks had to go through, how they had to go and give money to these big ways to get legislation passed in order for them to be legal in every state. While somebody and Stake themselves are pretty much gaming the system. They found a loophole. So that's why they snitching on them. But they also are accusing Drake of using this to also bot his numbers. Regardless if you believe it or not, that's what they're saying. I gotta say though, the woman that's associated with this lawsuit, LaShawna Ridley, the Drake fans made sure to go point out that she filed for bankruptcy a few years ago, trying to make the point that she's doing this just for money, that this is also a hit piece, possibly, whatever. George said Travis Scott been having fake stream numbers and he didn't get punished. That's why Drake getting pushed out forcefully. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna go through this right here because this person made it simplistic and went through all the stuff. It's the last gambling lawsuit in 2025 is a doozy. A federal RICO class action versus Stake and the rapper Drake for promoting a legal online gambling site under the guise of a fake sweepstakes. Drake is accused of using the platform to artificially inflate play counts of his music. Drake, Ross, that's Adin Ross, and Wynn, I think that's the Asian guy who runs Academics TV out of Australia, who constantly he called himself Chat Nigga. Yeah, he's an Asian dude that refers to himself as Chat Nigga. Yeah. But yeah, have also made use of Stake. Now, this right here is the biggest point of this. This right here where I think a whistle is being blown on this part. And somebody wants the feds to get a whiff of this and start doing some investigation. Listen to this. Drake, Ross, and Wynn have also made use of Stake to directly transfer money between and among themselves using Stake's tipping program, an unlimited and wholly unregulated money transmitter that appears to exist outside of oversight of any financial regulators. George said, P.S. Travis Scott got big based off his inflated fake numbers that Scott was established off this type of activity. They all do it. I got a question I'm gonna ask about that later too. But so from the money side of it, I've been saying for the longest that this sports betting bubble has to pop at some point because it's completely changed how some people's spending habits are going from day to day. Craig says, "Oh, what up, Craig? Happy New Year, family. The cave dwellers are still obsessed with us. New Year, same-ish." Facts. But I knew that this sports betting bubble had to pop at some point because how it's affecting the day-to-day person's spending. And as always, the people that's affected by this the most will be the people who have the least. So the way some people would go get a second job or get gambling used to be some type of hobby, and obviously gambling is the thing that some people do for the adrenaline rush, the chance, the idea of chance and winning. It brings an adrenaline to somebody and give them dopamine, so that's why it's addictive, obviously. But it was a hobby. You had some people that was able to live off of it, the professional gamblers or whatever. But now the everyday person has access to this in their pocket with their cell phone. So instead of it being a hobby, it's now a second job. It's like what happened during the pandemic when you had people investing in stocks or these bullshit coins to make a quick buck. They started treating it like the casino. So people are hopping on these sports betting apps, spending the last $20 to bet on something so they can try to flip it to make more money. And so it's replaced. It's not even a hobby no more. It's another way to make money for a lot of people who are struggling to pay bills. And in the economy that we're in right now, which I guess is based off of the situation that you're in, how bad you think the economy is or isn't. Some people are struggling, and this is just a way for them to try to get by. And you have somebody like Drake and Adin Ross and all these other celebrities, including Prize Picks with Drewski and all these other podcasts, pushing this on their audiences that this is a quick way to make money, a quick buck. And it's leading to people being harmed by it drastically. George said, betting on LeBron is losing wager. If you bet on him, you need 3 jobs plus bronze. Leave that 41-year-old man alone, bro. And speaking of this, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but there was a supposed whistleblower that came on Reddit. I tried to hunt this down to see if it was still up, but apparently the person deleted it or I looked for the wrong thread. I'm not going to read it all because obviously you can see it's pretty long. Speaking about just the economy and how this system is set up to just F people over. This person, I'm posting this from the library Wi-Fi on a burner laptop because I'm technically under a massive NDA. I don't care anymore. I put in my 2 weeks yesterday, and honestly, I hope that they sue me. I've been sitting on this for about 8 months, just watching the code getting pushed to production. And I can't sleep at night knowing I helped build this machine. You guys always suspect the algorithms are rigged against you, but the reality is actually so much more depressing than the conspiracy theories. I'm a back-end engineer. I sit in a weekly sprint planning meetings where project managers discuss how to squeeze another 0.4% margin out of human assets. That's literally what they call drivers in a database schemes. Now, in this person made a post exposing that these companies that do food delivery, so DoorDash and all these other places, they have an algorithm where a person who's a driver for the delivery, they have a code, they have an algorithm where it keeps track of who is quickest to accept any delivery. So a person that takes the $3, no question, as soon as it's up, they take it. The person who takes the cheap deliveries really quick, they're marked as desperate, which means they only keep getting fed these cheap deliveries. So that means they make less money because they're never getting the other deliveries, other delivery types. And the priority delivery stuff is fake. They don't actually speed it up. They just slow down the time of the normal deliveries by 5 to 10 minutes. So they never actually speed it up. They just purposely slow down the non-priority deliveries. And then they give the bigger, longer distance drives, the ones that makes the most money, they give that to the casual driver, the one who don't take every they don't take every delivery and stuff, is more picky. They give them the bigger the more money. The monies you do with the benefit fee, it doesn't go to the drivers. It stays with the company, and you actually paying their salary yourself. You're not actually helping them get extra money. So with a system built like this off these, and we already see with the AI system that's taken over, not just in music and industry, we're talking about in regular life. When for years now, we've seen the checkout system, we've seen these entry level jobs are becoming pretty much you almost need a college education for some of these entry level jobs at this point. And then the ones that don't require that are being taken over by machines. My McDonald's has them. Like I said, self checkouts at grocery stores and all this other stuff. So with that type of thing, when you got people like these celebrities pushing gambling on people, and they feel desperate enough to use it to try and make a couple of extra bucks, I'm glad it's been exposed, and I hope it continue to get exposed. I want to show this. Yeah, maybe announced to the digital and I saw this. It said Beyonce declared the 5th billionaire musician by Forbes. Man, Beyonce is now a billionaire apparently. And then I saw a whole debate come from that, asking the question about an ethical billionaire. You know, she's a billionaire off of her music. She did it the right way. And George saying lies. I agree. I don't think none of these people are billionaires. And I just asked the question, is there a such thing as an ethical billionaire? Is it possible for somebody to amass that much wealth in an ethical, righteous way? A morally stand-up way? I don't think so. With all this being said, we already know that to a lot of the people, especially younger crowd, the American dream is pretty much dead. Like I said, I understand it's based off of your circumstance, or the people you're around and all the other stuff, but it's dead at this point. And a lot of the youth are tired of the facade of it actually acting like it still exists, which is why you're seeing people say that the youth don't want to work as much as they know, because they're getting paid. Their hours necessary to have a regular living is going up, but the money isn't. People are still, there's some state, the smallest town I used to live in growing up, the minimum wage in like 2005 was like $6. It's 2026, and I think the minimum wage in that place is still like $7. And keep in mind, the price of living has went up. It went from $250, $300, $400 rent down there to now people are paying $1,500 for a 1-bedroom apartment, $1,200. People are having to pay crazy amount of money. You got people paying crazy amount of money to live in trailers. The whole purpose of trailers existing was for inexpensive living. Now it's like that. You might as well get a house or apartment because you're paying the same price. George said now she's been doing more than that, and she had her own church dedicated to worshiping her in is that San Francisco? Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Whatever happened with that? Is it still open, or did people call that blasphemous and make them shut it down? But yeah, as they say, I just don't think anybody can be a so-called billionaire and be ethical. And then you look at her and her tours and how she, you know, there's a whole running joke. As soon as income tax come around, she announced a new tour. It's kind of funny. Speaking of having money and changing up, I'm gonna get back to this other part of this Drake thing. And I'm glad George has brought up churches. Let me show y'all this. Let me play this.
The other day, the internet went crazy.
This is Pastor Jamal Bryant in a little bit of a controversy.
The other day, the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness.
It's a false barometer of holiness in a church. Now, I'm talking about a church. I'm not talking about whether you believe in it or not. It's a false barometer of holiness to ask for your wife to not be dressing the way that, according to your beliefs, if you believe in the Bible, she's not supposed to be dressing that way. But, you know, all right.
Based off of her dress. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't married to y'all. She married to me. If you want it.
Chris said, damn, his wife fine. And that's the crazy part. The pastor is showing off how fine his wife. Why do you right, bruh. You right, Mr. Pastor Bryant. That's your wife. She ain't married to nobody else. So why am I able to see her the way she looks? Like, this should be a whole thing in church where when I was a kid, if a woman came in dressed a certain way, she was looked at, yeah, you need to put a sweater on or something. You're distracting the rest of the church. Even in the Bible tell you you're not supposed to try and distract from the word of God. So you in there. Now, this is not church. This is an event they were doing. So she was not dressed like this in the church. Let me make sure I made that clear. But even outside of the church, there's a way you're supposed to carry yourself. You're judged by your countenance. So how you look It's how you're judged. So immediately, if I'm meeting you and your wife at this place, I don't know you as pastor and the pastor's wife. I can't tell. Jenny says, I'm of the same opinion, dude, regarding wealth and ethics. George said he gay and he a plant. He's so blasphemous, and anyone at his church ain't serious about their faith. George says he sell weed growing at church and he don't mind being zesty. He sell weed for real? And George said he wears a dress first. Oh, he tested out for her.
A first lady that looked like Little House on the Prairie and Holly Hobby, you got the wrong church. I wanted a wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself.
That's your pastor, ladies and gentlemen. That's your pastor. Oh man, telling you how much he lusts for his wife. You know, it is what it is, man. That's what we are. George said he got nonprofit for weed, and he on a rooftop. Oh, he part of that program they started. He been pretty obvious with he trying to make money. See what I mean? See what I mean? Can you be ethical and be wealthy at this point in this country, in America, the way this capitalist society works? Is it possible? As a pastor, you decide you're going to go into the weed business because you can profit from it. A pastor. Oh, man. Oh, man. Anyway, let's get it. Back to this other side of this, though. I want to get back to this RICO. I want to just go down the money side of this. How, this gambling thing is having a negative effect on the youth, especially, even the older people. And it's been sold to them through these celebrities. Let me show this right here. He said through stakes tipping fund function, defendants have financed their combined artificial streaming to create fraudulent streams of Drake's music, fabricate popularity, disparage competitors and music label executives, and distort recommendation algorithms. Now, as I said, this first part up here, where they said how the money they're being used, they're putting the tipping system they're using within this, that is unlimited and is unregulated money transmitter. So it's outside of the oversight of any financial regulator. It sounds like they're trying to whistleblow or show a little bit of, trying to accuse him of a little bit of tax evasion or money laundering. So they throwing it out there immediately. Then they say he's using it to boost the algorithm, boost his streaming numbers to disparage competitors and to distort recommendation algorithms, okay? At the head of the scheme, Drake, acting directly and through willingly and knowledgeable co-conspirators, has deployed automated bots and streaming farms to artificially inflate play counts of his music across major platforms such as Spotify. These inauthentic streams inject via interstate digital pathways, that's how they make it a RICO, or class action, calibrated to mislead royalty and recommendation engines, manufacture popularity, distort playlists and charts, and divert both value and audience attention. In tandem with manipulation, has suppressed authentic artists and narrowed consumers' access to legitimate content by undermining the integrity of curated experiences. Stakes user-to-user tipping and encrypted internal transfer mechanisms have fueled and enabled payments to bot operators and amplifiers to be hidden from public or regulatory view. George said you about the big dog. You hear you just slap my supporters. Virginia said, "Judge not that you be not be judged," is the one of the least utilized scriptures and ironies in the human mankind. What's funny is in the scriptures they tell you, people bring up, it says, it said judge not, do not judge people and all this stuff. Well, no, it says judge righteous judgment. That's another scripture that's not used enough. If you're living right, then if you're somebody who committed adultery, then yeah, you shouldn't be out there pointing fingers at somebody who's committing adultery as well. You're supposed to judge righteous judgment. George says, I have discernment, and in order of exercise discernment, you must have judgment. George says, I will judge because I will judge and shall my soft man. Okay, here you go. Here you go. All right. But getting to the point of this other part of this, the alleged bot usage. we've been saying for years that the idea of the celebrity is gone. That fame isn't what it used to be. The question is, are streaming numbers down? Because we've seen last year, the last couple of years, they've seen that certain artists aren't charting as high, and when these first week sales aren't doing as well. Particularly when we talk about people like Young Thug dropped an album, it didn't do what he normally would do. Lil Wayne dropped an album last year, it didn't do the numbers you expected to do, or maybe it did. 21 Savage, if you compare the album he just dropped to what he did before, completely in half, totally down. And a few other people that dropped that last year, the numbers weren't really up. But at the same time, some of those rappers had their best streaming year ever. So they had their worst first week streaming wise for their album, their newest album, but they had their best streaming year. Drake, Lil Wayne, they had their best year streaming wise. I think 18 billion for Drake. I think like 6-7 billion for Wayne. Some of their biggest years. So the question becomes, are they not inflating the numbers anymore? Or is the numbers down because people are listening to music less? Which you're not going to convince me that people are listening to music less than they did in the past. Music is essential to a lot of people's lives. Every few days, I may not listen to music every day, but I'm not going to go too many days without going on some type of music binge, where I'm going to listen to some old school stuff. I might end up popping in some Jimi Hendrix. I might end up listening to some yacht rock. I might listen to some early 2000s R&B hip hop. I'm going to listen to something. So you're not going to convince me people are listening to less music. So it seems like they're just not inflating the numbers as much as they did. George says, it's a control system, and Young Thug and the rest of them haven't had a proper sacrifices lately. They need to get their sacrifices up. I look for old music on YouTube. Yeah, I do too. I might listen to some Otis Redding. I'm listening to something. So I don't believe that the numbers are being purposely held down. I think they're just not inflating the numbers as much. Even the people who they're clearly pushing to be the next pop stars, their numbers aren't doing what the old numbers used to be. The only person who's doing old school numbers is Taylor Swift. She's doing some numbers that I just don't believe. You expect me to believe she's doing 3 million first week with 1 million physical sales first? Like, come on. I'm not saying this. I just don't believe it. So I think there's some people, they pulled out of inflating of the numbers. And then there's obviously, at this point, celebrity and fame ain't what they used to be. Fame is not, it doesn't last anymore. Relevancy is a trend now. How long you stay relevant is how much you can tie yourself to something that's trendy. And the second that's not trendy anymore, your fame is no longer exists. You're not famous anymore. You're just popular. Who are you next to? What rooms are you allowed in? How famous or how popular are those people determines how famous and popular you are. It's not just based off talent. It's just networking. And you could say that forever, the machine has always controlled who we deem to be, the biggest, the most famous. But I feel like now with the internet, they're competing with everyday people. There's some funny people out here, man. There's some funny, entertaining people on the internet that just everyday people that can turn their camera on now, go on TikTok or YouTube and just get an audience because they're actually talented at something. They're actually good at something. So now the so-called celebrities have to compete with other people. Straight to consumer is pretty much did the same thing to the music industry where I don't have to go to the person signed to the label no more. I can find them on SoundCloud a few years ago. Now I can find them on my own on Spotify or Apple or whatever. I don't need a label to give me, to put somebody in my face. George says, Miles J, 1987, I've been a fool for you, but it's over now. This dude will connect it. Virginia says, my days and nights are in reverse, and I listen to music on YouTube nightly to help direct my mind during the wee hours. Like Mighty Clouds of Joy or Reverend FC Barnes or Willie Neal Johnson and gospel keynotes. Yeah, Joy, you got a deep musical bag. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, when I look at this whole thing about the possible bot usage, I say, well, I got a question. What has been the most politics? Politics have done a lot to pop culture, and since Trump got in office, since 2016, politics have grown. How much is mentioned in regular pop culture? It's because of Trump, and his team knew how to use the internet to get a message out. So it's influenced who is actually popular and famous. You got celebrities got to compete with, so we got to call them now celebrity political people. So instead of having to go to Fox or CNN or MSNBC, there's somebody on YouTube live talking politics with 300,000 people listening to him. I feel like a lot of the celebrities are getting dismissed because when nobody want to hear what a celebrity got to say in the interview no more, because it's just gonna be about you. It's gonna be how your life is going. Are you happy? Are you depressed? How did you get here? What made you do this? Get into this art, whatever you do, acting or rapping or whatever. Like at some point, it's like, I don't care. Just give me the music. When you listen to the people who are talking politics or anything about society at large, it's those people are able to say things that reflect what's going on to the people. And there's not too many artists anymore that are talking about what the people are going through. You got a few, but I feel like the famous political people and the streamers, like Casanats and the I Show Speeds, they have the kids. You know, the Casanats and the Speed and all those streamers, they get the youth, so the people up to about 20, 22, 21 years old. And then after that, it's the political pundit people. It's the Candace Owens. It's the Nick dude. It's the Destiny dude. It's all these other people on social media that's able to attract these audiences that's taking them away from the celebrities. So it's completely flipped everything on his head. George said they definitely using influencers to push agendas like Consonant. The streaming world is strange to me because they're another group that know they have kids watching them, and all they do is bring OnlyFans girls and prostitutes on their platform to shake their ass and do fake flirting and set up bullshit dates and talk about sex all episode, all stream. It's like, you got a 13-year-old listening to you, and this is what you're bringing this girl on here to talk about this. But those platforms allow it, so it is what it is. And speaking of politicians and the politics of celebrity, the flip, did y'all see the flip of Nicki Minaj happening? I don't listen to Nicki Minaj music a lot. Obviously, he has very big songs that I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but considering she's made her audience, who she's made her audience, who she's made her music for, and her getting on that TPUSA, whatever it's called, stage and saying what she said, the question that everybody asks is, what does she want? I heard people bring up pardon for somebody, help somebody get into the country. They signed a petition to get her deported with, like, last time I checked, it had like 30, 40,000 signatures. We don't know if she's trying to get legalized, become a legal citizen. Now, we don't know. Nicki Minaj, and this has proved my point about what fame and celebrity is at this point. Nicki Minaj deciding to step into the political sphere through Trump and what's her name? This Charlie Kirk's widow, who ain't acting like a widow. Have y'all seen those videos of Erica Kirk? Those jokes people making where they say, you know, a widow, oh, I miss my husband. They show these people doing crazy stuff on stage to show that she hasn't really shown real grief for her husband's assassination. Although we know, as they say, people grieve different. I understand, but the way she's moving is a little, she had to just get right into action, take stuff over, move along. That one post somebody made of a woman shooting firecrackers out of her ass is just, it's just crazy. George says, if you're chosen, you can say and do whatever you want on YouTube and any platform. George says she's satanic and Turning Point USA satanic. They're not real Christians. Well, we know they're extreme, they're Zionists and stuff, and we know they have agendas and stuff behind the scenes, but surprised that the person who has a bunch of gay, trans, super progressive, liberal people following her decided to step on a stage, on a conservative stage like that, on that platform, and say those talking points. I guess she just don't give a damn about splitting her base. Shout out to her, I guess. I mean, George says he wasn't assassinated. What you saw was a Project Blue Beam projection. They all Masons. I've seen all the conspiracies about Charlie Kirk. I'm burnt out on it, honestly. As time goes on, things will be revealed, I believe. George said the petition is nuts and the public has selective outrage and selective judgments, good sins versus bad sins. Agreed. I think her fan base, I will say this, not in defense of them, but I think out of all the people who give backlash to a person they worship, which they shouldn't, is idol worship, I get it. They have the biggest gripe and they have meat on their bone. They have a good point. Considering what they are and who her base is and who she decided to team up with politically, publicly, loudly, it do look like Apostle spit in the face of them. But I'm pretty sure some of those people also support Trump and the conservative. Not all those people are left-leaning people, I guess. So we'll see what happens with old Nicki Minaj and what she really wanted out of that situation. But as I always say, man, celebrity is dead. It's over. I want to show this too because somebody made a video on her. Let me show this here.
Really incredible how the Tipusa movement in MAGA love a celebrity who's not a citizen, as long as that celebrity and citizen will speak up for the man in the White House. And that there is Nicki Minaj. And she's at...
That's called assimilation. I only support you if you follow the rules of my country.
The Tipusa meeting, that's Mrs. Widower Kirk. And she's going after Gavin Newsom for some reason. We'll come back to that she calls him what the men in the White House calls him, new scum. And she also said that the man in the White House is an amazing role model. He's also handsome and dashing, she says.
Hey, if there was ever any code in speak, Nicki Minaj using the term handsome and dashing is like obvious tongue in cheek. Like, hey, I'm just talking shit up here. I'm just trying to get something out of this. It is what it is. All right, man. Anyway, let's move forward. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Make sure we good. All right. Regina says, I was thinking the same thing quietly. I bet her base also supports Trump. Oh yeah. It's a couple of them. Because her base, from what every time I've seen any of them videos or posts or whatever, it's always either a gay white dude or a trans person. Like that's what I mainly see as her base. So I'm sure plenty of them are Trump supporters. Anyway, let's see. Let me show this here. Speaking of people wanting something. Tyler Perry. Again, model accuses Tyler Perry of sexual assault in new lawsuit. A lawyer for Perry called the suit a failed money grab. A model who said he was recruited by film producer Tyler Perry for movie roles alleged in California civil lawsuit that Perry used his position to abuse and sexually assault him. The suit by model Mario Rodriguez, which was filed in Los Angeles State Court Monday, seeks $77 million in damages. It alleges Rodriguez was a victim of sexual assault and sexual battery over the roughly 5 years. He and Perry communicated mostly about Rodriguez's move into film and TV. George had took a white person to take him down. You know what's crazy about this is, unfortunately, as you said with this case here, the last guy that accused him, Tyler Perry, sexual assault accusing claims, leaked text messages, prove allegations. The last, the other, it was believable because how we've seen him move publicly. Tyler Perry makes sure that everything he does in his career, he writes, he produces, he directs everything, which means to me he has a control problem. He's extremely controlling. And I can see a person like that who obviously has some things he's hiding about his sexuality. I didn't even know he had a kid, by the way. I just found out he had a kid. I didn't know. I didn't know he was in a relationship with some Ethiopian woman for like 12, 13 years. I didn't even know none of this. So when you hear these allegations and you see the stuff that's been said about him behind the scenes, the rumors, it's just easily believable. Is that fair to him? Maybe not, but it's just so easily to believe because look at his shows. I mean, the stuff he's completely did a complete turnaround from the type of content he was making in 2006. He's been way closer to who he really is in his TV and film. So, yeah. George says, Perry, another one that got too big. Now, Tyler Perry, if you told me that the stuff that's coming out about him is because he tried to buy BET, I still wouldn't believe you. I'm sorry. I don't think they give a damn about BET. As a matter of fact, they don't give a damn about BET so much. They went and got Paramount separated from BET, because remember, it was a sale together at one point, separated from BET and gave it to another billionaire who's now trying to buy now we just talked about it. What are they trying to buy? WB. So that's what they care about BET. They don't give a fuck about BET at all. Boondocks exposed all, and that's why they was canceled season 3, episode 1. Yeah, he had them take it down too. Virginia says, "Wait, what? How you miss that?" I didn't know. I didn't keep up with Tyler Perry. I just saw it as a kid. I saw some of his movies. As I got older, I realized it ain't for me. So I didn't keep track of him. And then I found out like 2-3 days ago that he had a whole baby mama. I'm like, oh shit. Well, they never got married. So yeah, they baby mama's like, oh damn. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. George said tax write-off. Yeah, they say that dude's going broke too. The one who purchased Paramount. They're saying he actually going broke, and he needs that deal with WB and Discovery to go through. That's why they did a hostile takeover, attempt at a hostile takeover, because if he don't get it, they're saying he's going to go broke. I don't know if that's true. There might just be some people that don't like him. But anyway, so that's that on Perry. Ain't too much more we can say. He said he lying. Tyler Perry said this is a money grab. Said that he put out text messages showing the dude asking for money. I don't think that proved the dude wrong. If you sexually assaulted somebody and they didn't immediately go to the cops, and then they get into a bind, they got health issues and need money, and then they come to you and say, hey, I need some money. Can you help me out? You know what you did to me. And then you say no, and then they just say, all right, and I'm gonna go get it this way then. It's the Cassie situation. If y'all supported that, if you supported Cassie, you gotta support this. Jenna says having a baby mama and a child is the news versus him being obviously for the other team. Exactly. I wasn't even surprised that we know what Tyler Perry is. Like you said, Boondocks already told us. We heard the rumors for you. The man had been going around dressed like a woman his entire career. It got so bad, the black community said, hey, stop. The black community came to Tyler Perry and said, stop. He came out and said, I'm going to stop. And then he made another movie playing as Medea. Like, he has an addiction to playing that character at this point. It's his moneymaker, and I think he enjoys it. So we were not surprised by the rumors of his sexuality. No, this is not a surprise. I am surprised, as George said, that this is what might take him down. Out of all the things, your own lust will be what gets you, like always, right? That's always the thing in history. So having a baby mama and having a kid ain't even shock. That's the shock. Like, oh, he actually procreated. Okay. George said Perry don't pay people properly. He treat his subordinates like slaves. Well, no, he makes sure to pay black women in his movies, especially the lead characters. He makes sure to pay the people that's necessary for public image, for PR reasons. And then he makes sure those women go and tell the public how much he pay them and how it's the most money they ever been paid and all the other stuff. That's how you know he fake. George says, as he'll, yeah, it was, he'll, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a money grab for the harassment. He another buster. He says sex, drugs, and rock and roll, same old, exactly. Take him out every time. All right, but a new person has been dragged into this, and I would defend Will in 20, but we'll see what happens. Able to clear the name. The person who took a lot in 2025, Will Smith. He had his tour. He released a song that didn't do very well, wasn't received very well. Will Smith. Man, just think about what Will Smith was in 2015. Like what his name was. Will Smith has been an A-list, A++ list celebrity since like 90 something. Since Fresh Prince, he's been the top of the line celebrity, famous. All these years, had a unblemished name, squeaky clean record. He got on that stage and smacked Chris Rock, and since that moment, But even with the turmoil with him and Jada, actually that was the moment. Will and Jada, when the whole thing that happened with her laying up with somebody else, that moment destroyed his entire image. And then he slapped Chris Rock, and it just went even further down. It's just crazy how somebody can go from way up there, and you just start seeing the fall. It's kind of crazy. But then again, this is one of those ritualistic things that some people need to be rugged up a bit to have a different rebrand in their career. You know, sometimes it's not meant for their career to end. It's meant for their career to change. Because the first time after he slapped Chris Rock and got into all that mess, he did something he said he would never do. He played in a movie as a slave. He said he would never do that. So that moment was obviously meant to be a change in his career. And we'll see where it goes from here. Yeah, but anyway, Will Smith sued by tour violinists for sexual harassment and wrongful termination. I read this and it don't make sense. I'm sorry. It just don't make sense. I'm going to read this because it's not long, obviously. And it just doesn't make sense. It's almost like they're only suing Will because he's at the head of it, but they're not really directly saying it was him. George says, told y'all he's a groomer. He groomed his son and tongued him up on national TV many times in front of all of you, so the news shouldn't be a surprise. Will is a gay simp. Will Smith has been sued by, I already said this, in the suit filed Tuesday and reviewed by Variety musician Brian King Joseph names Smith and Treyball Studio Management as defendants and accused Smith of predatory behavior and deliberately grooming and priming Mr. Joseph for further sexual exploitation on his Best of the True Story 2025 tour this past spring. The suit alleges that Smith hired Joseph in November of 2024 to perform for a show in San Diego and was subsequently invited to join his 2025 tour and play on his upcoming album. As their relationship grew closer, Smith told Joseph that you and I have a special connection and I don't have with anyone else. But see, Will Smith is one of those, eclectic type, super into the esoteric things. He's one of those people that seems like he would speak like that to somebody and it may not be gay. He seems like one of those earthy type dudes. Philosopher, one of those philosopher type personalities that just, you can love somebody and not be sexual type personality. So him saying that, I don't know. That sounds like Will though. Again, a lot. Joseph, who previously competed on America's Got Talent, joined the first leg of the tour. Yada yada yada. His suit claims that his bag, which contained his hotel room key, went missing for several hours before management found and returned it to him. And the members of the management were the only individuals with access to his room. Later that night, Joseph returned to find that someone had unlawfully entered the room and left behind belongings, including wipes, a bottle of HIV medication, with another individual's name, and a note that Brian, I'll be back no later, 5:30, just us, drawing heart, stone, F. Which Joseph interpreted as a warning that an unknown individual would soon return to his room to engage in sexual acts. Bro, why did it feel like he offered him the HIV medication like a honey pack? It's like he left the HIV medication like, hey, just to prep up. I'm on my way back. Now, once again, this isn't proof that this is Will Smith that wrote this or sent this. So I don't know. Virginia says, do you think that it's a coincidence that both actors from Men in Black are currently in the news for negative reasons? Also, Isiah Whitlock wasn't the only death off the wire. I just thought about that. You're right. You're right. I forgot about Tommy Lee. His daughter just was found passed away in a room. I don't know, George. The only 3 left alive from The Wire. Atlas Intel was the top rated. What up, Julia? Atlas Intel was the top rated pollster in 2020 and 2024. Their most recent poll has Donald Trump at a -21 approval rating and the Democrats as a +16 favorite to win the midterms. Yeah, more than likely, if things keep going the way they're going right now, if we believe, more than likely they're going to wipe them. But as we've seen with the Democrats, they get control and don't do shit with it. So, yeah. George says, and Tommy Lee kind of weird if you end up looking at younger suddenly, and in another move, if you know, you know. I don't know. I don't know. I know back in, it's a lot of stuff that goes with those people from back in those days. stuff that over time people forget and just move on from. I didn't know that the former sports announcer Albert for the Knicks, he got charged with a rape case back in like '97. I didn't even know this. The white dude that he retired now, but he got hit with a whole sexual assault case, and he was found guilty, and he pled down. Obviously, they always let them do. And he lost his job for like a year or two, and then he came right back to the Knicks and finished his career for like 20 years, and then retired. Yeah, but yeah, this Will Smith thing, I don't know. It just seemed like he got fired. He just throwing his name in the headlines, unfortunately. I'm not saying it's impossible. He said we've seen some rumors with Will too. What's her name? Didn't Tisha Campbell say he stole her husband? By, she said that he sent other women to her husband, but the way she said it at first made it seem like she was saying Will Smith himself stole her husband. So I don't know, man. Prayers to all involved. Hopefully the truth comes out and justice is received. You said pale privileges. Oh yeah. The stuff, man, you see these rock stars write books detailing all those escapades they had with groupies, and these be 14-year-old girls. You're like, what the hell? Give detail in a book about what they was doing in the 70s and 80s around the country. And it's just like, nothing happens, nothing moves forward. They continue to tour until they're 90 years old, making a gazillion dollars. Hey man, they protected. George says, yeah, Virginia can't live in America without it. Ask Travels if you ever show up again.
He gave up.
Yeah, we can move to this next topic now. Get to some other stuff. I want to get to I'm not gonna stick here too long. Get to this topic. They still trying to cause these wars within the community. So I want to show this here. Uncle Luke still talking crazy online. What up, Kiefer? Look, we're gonna get to Uncle Luke now. This just seemed, I don't follow him now. This just seemed random. He's still on this. No, Uncle Luke was a person who was outspoken his whole life, so I'm not surprised that he's just going to continue down this road. That's who he is. He's a stubborn person. I get it. But this is what he had to say. I'm going to read this. A happy New Year to you as well, Kiefer, to you and your family. Let's see what Uncle Luke had to say. He said, why us Florida black people are different, you, Tariq Nasheed, FBAs. Now, I also noticed that they use that term to really speak about black Americans, but they use that to get their stuff off. Anyway, it was a crab case. Hope you're not more support. In sports, they always say, why those brothers from Miami talk so much shit, so much swag, never been enslaved in the brain. Number one, Florida wasn't born in English slavery culture. Now, before we even get into this, Luke Campbell, you are Bahamian and Jamaican. You are not a descendant of those native Floridian black people. That's not your people. Well, that's your people, but that ain't your ethnicity. That ain't who you are. So you speaking like it's a us thing when it's not. You're not involved in that. And there were absolutely slaves in Florida. What is he talking about? I don't even know. Most of the Deep South was shaped by English plantation slavery, obedience, hierarchy, know your place. Sounds very, I've heard this same thing from people like Shirley Chisholm. I've heard the same thing from these other Caribbean so-called activists in the 60s who were saying something similar as this, talking down, but it's okay. Florida wasn't under Spain. Florida wasn't under Spain. Black people could escape slavery, own land, marry, carry weapons, fight for territory. That changes DNA. The Spanish literally created Fort Moses in 1738. The first free black town is what is now the United States. Freedom wasn't a rumor in Florida; it was a policy. So I don't have to read the rest of this. Read all this. Luke is like the ultimate tether babbler. Regina, George said Luke not American. He went on this whole situation And when I read this, I immediately thought he's doing the same thing we see happen in New York. Where you'll have a person from whatever country, they grew up in New York, born and raised, and they'll let it be known they're from New York. And when you start talking about ethnicity and stuff, they'll say, it don't matter if I'm not Black American. I'm from New York. Like I saw a dude say, I don't like Americans. I like New Yorkers though. It's like, well, you do realize people in New York are Americans. They really think that they really believe that that's just some type of immigrant enclave. Like it's just all of them are just from another place. It's crazy. But he's doing the same thing here with Florida, where because he can't be a part of an ethnicity, he decides he's going to try and split that ethnicity up into regional stuff, state by state. So instead of him not being able to be a Black American, he'll say, well, I'm a Black person that live in Florida. And this is the person who, now once again, nobody's looking at Uncle Luke for political analysis and, future plans and all that stuff, obviously. But these are these idiots that run around on social media that just push certain narratives. And now people was debunking this obviously pretty easily. And as I said earlier, I understand he's a person he's a hard-headed person who's outspoken, so he's just going to say stuff like this all the time. He's never going to admit that he's wrong. But his constant back and forth with Tariq Nasheed is funny. It's like what is the point at this? What are you doing this for? But anyway, I want to go on to this. The next dude going to ask where Ja Rule we need. This is a very Ja Rule-esque point, but I'm moving on to another point that's connected to it. Somebody has said they heard a British. This almost led to. I'm not gonna stay on this long because it's trivial, but this is just crazy. A person said this: a British man rapping came on Shuffle, and he said he didn't talk to the feds. Mind you, the UK does not have a federal government. Please be yourselves. A person posted that on social media. That's all they did. That led to an entire back and forth discourse across social media. I'm talking on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. It was when I realized where this, because it became a whole culture debate again, which I won't get into. It became a whole who inspired who influenced who, and all the other stuff. And I was shocked by where it started from. It started from the word Fed. And people not wanting to admit that they got that word from a particular, from one medium. Let's be honest, it's hip hop more than likely. If not, you might have got it from American movies, American film. And they just wouldn't admit it, and it led to a whole situation, and just the ego of it was just crazy to me. Hold on. And in that back and forth, I saw a lot of people making the point of you can't tell people who live in England how to use the English language, which sounds like, well, yeah. But people saying this were Caribbean and Africans. And I got confused because I started saying, wait, do those people who live in Europe, or particularly in this situation, England or Britain, think that they have as much ties to the language of English as the other people in that country? They were pretty much kind of called Americans who speak English culture vultures, that you're speaking a language that belongs to England. And it's like, but you're Nigerian, you're Jamaican. Why are you saying this? I'm confused. It's like when somebody, when the guy who goes around and eats food, I forgot his name. The dude who go test food and give people a whole bunch of numbers because people care about his opinion on food. You went to the UK and ate the food, and you had a bunch of Americans saying the food looked disgusting. For some reason, these people felt the need to, and keep in mind, the food he was eating was white British food. These other groups felt the need to correct him and chastise and say it's not that bad or whatever. It just didn't make sense. Why are you defending something that you have no ties to? It's just confusing. But anyway, speaking of the UK, George said now they ran by Islam, so they don't hold anymore. Didn't they say that the number one name in Britain last year for newborn babies was like Muhammad or something? Which means I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's funny, just popped up in my head too. The first baby born in America was a white baby named Tyrone. That was funny too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure last year the most popular name for a newborn was like Muhammad. I think it was the last year or the year before, one of those. So they know they've been overrun pretty much. But they did it to themselves, you know. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of the UK, Anthony Joshua discharged from hospital after Nigeria car crash. Anthony Joshua, boxer, had a fight with the YouTuber turned boxer. Was it Logan Paul or Jake Paul? One of those. I think it's Jake Paul. Won this fight, went viral all over the place. The women were fiending for him all over the place across social media. That was funny. Which is funny because he's fought in America before and he got his ass whooped by a Mexican. But this time it was a different outcome. So the women reacted differently because he won, I guess. But anyway, and I ain't hating. George said sacrifice. He won $90 million, $100 million, whatever. He goes back to Nigeria as he always do, to, run around with the people and be around his people. There was a controversy before the fight when he announced the fight in the promotion of the fight. He was constantly wearing the Nigerian flag. Now, if you don't follow boxing, you would know. If you follow boxing, you would know that Anthony Joshua was the face of British boxing. He probably at one point was the most famous British entertainer. I mean, outside of the ones who act in American movies, but as a UK British entertainer, boxer, athlete, he definitely was the most famous in the country. He always repped Britain. He always repped England or whatever you want to call it. He always repped that country. And then he randomly, a couple years ago, after he started losing and stuff, he started repping Nigeria a little bit more. I'm not saying he never did it, but he definitely intensified the level of repping he did. And there was a lot of controversy with them saying, why are you wearing the Nigerian flag? You should be wearing the British flag, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, he goes back to Nigeria, and we find out that he gets in a car crash. When the headline said, fatal car crash, Anthony Joshua part of fatal car crash, I said, dang, he died? I thought he was dead. Immediately, I thought, oh, he gone. That's crazy. You just had that big successful moment, all the money, and then you just end up in that situation. But no, he didn't die. It was his longtime friend and trainers that actually passed away in the situation. Sad situation. Rest in peace to those involved. I'll start with that before we get into any conspiracy or anything. Rest in peace to those people that lost their lives. I remember years ago, because I see George already saying sacrifice. I remember a few years ago when there was an attempt on Floyd Mayweather's life. And his bodyguard ended up almost getting killed. And I remember someone saying, hey man, that wasn't an accident. You should get the hell away from Floyd Mayweather. That wasn't an accidental near-death experience. You should probably get away from him. Unfortunately, these dudes didn't get that warning. But anyway, Anthony Joshua, he avoids death, seat swap, 100 mile per hour road, stolen phone. So apparently he was sitting in the seat behind the driver. But he was sitting in the passenger seat. But because he's a big guy, he's like 6'5", 6'6", the dude said he couldn't see the mirror on that side of on the car. So he told him to get in the seat behind him. He does it, he obliges. So his friend is in the front seat, the passenger seat, in the back seat behind the passenger. They're going 100 miles per hour. Apparently, all this stuff is coming out now saying the driver didn't even have a license. He's going 100 miles per hour, and the tire just blows out. Bomb. Okay. Not only does the tire go out, the brakes stop working. Now, accidents happen. The tire, maybe. You can ride over something. It's Nigeria. The roads aren't that clean. You can ride over something. Your tire can, get blown out. The brakes is where you go, okay, now this looks a little fishy now. All right, what we doing? They get into a car crash. They hit a truck that was on just a standstill bus on the side of the road. Hit it. Instant impact. One of the dudes was decapitated. The other dude was dead on the scene. So these two other dudes died on the scene. And the Jobs in the back. He has minimal injuries. It seems as you can see, he's been let out of the hospital. And apparently, in the midst of them doing this, keep in mind these dudes, the people who passed away in this accident, their bodies are still there on the ground. Like, there's no ambulance. There's no real medical system to help. It's just like a police car. Instead of getting into an ambulance, Anthony Joshua is placed into a police truck. Like, they just routed him in the front seat, the passenger seat, to the hospital, I guess. But at the same time as these Nigerian people are crowding him, they also are taking pictures and selfies and stuff. Somebody stole his phone. That's what his uncle said. You know how low it got to be to steal someone's phone after a fatal accident. But then that's when I go into the whole idea of the scarcity mindset. These people live in extreme poverty. I remember telling Travis, if I was Anthony Joshua, I would have been in fear, not of the situation, like somebody actually gonna do something to me, but just imagine for a second, you look to the side, there's two men dead on the street. They're dead. And you got a crowd of people around you just taking pictures of you. Like, the death doesn't even scare them. Like, it's not even, that would have scared me right there. I would have been like, these people are in such dire situation. Like, that means they used to seeing stuff like this. Anyway, he goes to the hospital, gets sent home, and then it becomes a discussion about the lack of infrastructure in the country. It was a really big deal. It led to them people making commentary about it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show one right here. This was actually a Jamaican woman that had something to say. Let me play this.
So you want to tell me that a big boxing champion like Anthony Joshua was in a motor vehicle accident in Nigeria? Two of his friends died, and he was injured because he was in the back of the car, and that's what saved his life. But in the big 232 million people in Nigeria, in that big country, you want to tell me that you couldn't find an ambulance to bring the man to hospital? What the? In big Nigeria with over 232 million people, you could not find an ambulance to bring the world boxing champion Anthony Joshua to hospital? What the fluke? Listen to me, people, man. You must do better. Nigerians, you got to do better. You have to do better. I'm not going to lie. You have to do better.
Do we believe in conspiracies in this situation? Was this just an unfortunate accident that happened? Or do y'all think this was a little bit more? Do you think it was something behind the scenes? I remember right after the fight, they were saying that because of his win over Jake Paul, he was going to lose $40 million of his purse. I've seen people, he said he got to pay taxes in both America, obviously, and Britain. So there's a lot of money talk after that fight. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the brakes, the driver saying the brakes, and the driver not having a license. What the hell is going on? What is going on where someone is allowed to drive around somebody who in that country is, unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, is going to have that level of importance, has a person who don't have a license driving him around in a car that gets a blown tire and bad brakes? I don't know. George said, you mean Floyd? I pledge allegiance to Israel Mayweather. They're trying to paint Mayweather as broke again too. They've been calling Mayweather broke for the last decade. They've been hoping that man go broke for a long time. So we'll see. George says the Bixa SUV couldn't fit under the truck, and no blood or damage to Josh screen to clean, and no video of the whole thing. That's true too. There's no video of the crash, although if you don't expect the crash, are you going to be randomly recording with your phone? But it is Anthony Joshua. They knew Anthony Joshua was in the area, so you would think somebody would be recording something. We're seeing how they act right now in Africa with I Show Speed walking around. So there was a dude in that I Show Speed live stream that had to have chased his car for at least 2 miles. Like 2 miles, he was running behind the car trying to get him to sign his shoe or race him. I can't remember. It was crazy. George says, unless the whole thing was staged to cover up Red Drum. Like I said, the conspiracies are flowing. I've seen a lot of Nigerians, because I'm not putting that on them like it's a thing, but they even said there's a lot of witch doctors over there. They said that they believe it has something to do with blood money. I don't know. They said there was some blood money, witchcraft going on. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff they're accusing of. But the main thing is people saying the road system is bad. They're saying there's no way you should have that many people and you can't afford to have a system in place to have ambulances on the scene quickly. Yeah, it's definitely been a bad look for them as far as their infrastructure and how bad it is. So hopefully they ever get it together. Oh, and them Nigerians had to shut the hell up for a little while on social media because people was on their ass of all backgrounds was on their ass. It was crazy. George says if they was going that fast before the crash, then yes, people would have videotaped it knowing what will happen next. Maybe. Oh, there definitely was a ritual and Josh going to become a mega star now. But Joshua was already famous. Like, I remember the whole Deontay Wilder versus Joshua back in 2016, 17, 18, how there was a big buildup for the undisputed heavyweight champion. Like, he's already been champion at the division. He's already been famous. Like, but you're right. George said not that famous. He definitely, after that Jake Paul fight, I think he gained like 2 million followers. So he's definitely had the biggest spotlight on him since that fight, or when that fight was announced, which it's just crazy how much fame that dude got, where an actual boxing champion got more fame in his fight. It's just crazy. He was subpar. He didn't have the charisma. I don't know, man. 93 million he got paid. He's made 100 million. Well, they've lied and said he's made $100 million before in a fight. So I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of Nigeria, though, I saw that they have been there. I said a few episodes ago that America would never. Trump wasn't going to go into Nigeria dropping no bombs. Well, I was wrong. Apparently, he did bomb some terrorists in the area. For the Paul fight. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I said Trump wouldn't go into Nigeria and bomb, and apparently he did. He apparently bombed some terrorists in the north part. I don't know, but it's at this point I've seen people refer to it as a Trump. This is and George is going exactly where I'm going. Trump wants the oil in Venezuela. It ain't a thought. He said it. He just flat out said, "I'm getting oil. We're gonna take over. We're taking over until they find a new." One. Craig said Andrew Tate got knocked out by a nigga with pink box. But what's the word he used? You talk. I'm gonna stay up is gay. All that shit. Let a dude came out and said he helped make money. So George said Tate is a girl. But the big story today: U.S. strikes Venezuela and says its leader Maduro has been captured and flown out of the country. Let me tell you how gangster America is, and Trump got them back gangster bag. They've been soft shoeing for a little while now. As far as public, they've been sneaking and dropping strikes on people, but the thing Trump ever did is when he killed the Iranian military leader in another country, lured him out of the country and killed him. This is what Trump did. Venezuela had an election a few years ago where they swore this Moderno dude lied and stole the election. They said he stole the election. He was an illegitimate president. We're not recognizing you as president. But then the dude stayed in office. And the citizens, I didn't see too much of the citizens saying we're a captured country. The dude is a dictator, help us. It was pretty whatever. But then we seen all those envoys from Venezuela coming to America, the immigration situation. And they put it in front of us a lot. And they told us how poor the economy was in those countries in South America. And they told us this man is the bad man. He's the bad person. He's not the president. He stole the election. Trump he bombed the parliament, their people on the ground, took the president and his wife, took the president and his wife out of the country, and on the way out, what's that dish called? Pabellon Criollo. Had a little dish on their way out. Had a little food on the way out. Imagine going to a sovereign country, taking their leader out with no fight. They did it in less than 4 hours. Just boop, took him out. Now I've seen rumors that they said that they paid off his people, that it was a negotiated retreat. That basically they sold him out. I've seen people say that there was other ways they did it. China apparently was they had ambassadors in the country when they did it. Russia was saying that they had Air Force there to protect them. Nothing happened. They just bombed them, took the president and his wife, left. Like, this is some thug goon shit. Like, this is and what made it kind of hilarious. We've been seeing these countries like China and Russia talk big and bad for years. And they ain't do shit. And then when America did this to Venezuela, to a lot of the countries around the world, they realized none of us would be able to do anything if they decided to do this to other countries. America is just, boy. George says, I mean, what I said, he is an introvert gender celebrity. That's a Baphomet model. Virginia says these hoes ain't loyal. Hoes, Siri, dang. These hoes ain't loyal. Man, they say, I heard numbers like 50 million going around. I said, they probably didn't even have to pay them no money to do this. They probably didn't have to pay them no money. And let me show you what Trump had to say after the fact. He just said it plainly.
Transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country.
We gonna run the country
until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States.
He also said in his press conference that they're going to go into Venezuela and they're going to sell the oil to other country to make some money. Now, he said he made it seem like they're doing this to help the economy of Venezuela, but Venezuela also had, if I'm not mistaken, 300 billion barrels of oil, or is it not messed up barrels? 300 billion worth of oil, like. And now they did say that the Venezuelan oil is sour. It's not the best quality, so it's not worth as much in the free market, global market. It's not worth as much as some other country, even though they got the most. But if America takes over Venezuelan oil reserves, they'll pretty much have over half the world's control over half the world's oil. Just went in there and took the shit. George said, translation, reason to give less money to American citizens. Yeah, it's crazy. Now this woman is the woman who is the oppositional leader, opposition party. The hour of freedom has arrived. Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel, she won a Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuela's most prominent opposition leader in 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, Maria Corona Machado, declared the turning point of her country after U.S. forces captured President Nicolas Maduro. George says he's an agent. Yeah, when I saw this right here, I already knew.
I would like to thank Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
I promise we one day will have a close relationship between Venezuela and Israel.
I myself look forward to visit the State of Israel as soon as we conquer freedom.
Conquer freedom, by the way.
We will prevail.
And I can announce this, that our government will move our Israeli embassy to Jerusalem.
So she's already, I ain't got to say no more with that, right? She's already told you who her allegiance is, and now you know why she's getting any sort of support. Now, Trump came out immediately after this in that same press conference and said she don't get enough support she don't have enough support to be the next leader. So he completely let her know, no, we're not picking you. So she helped sell her country out for power, and she may not even get it. Because now when you try to run for office, they're going to say that you're an illegitimate president and you didn't really win. It was somebody else they want. The games they play. As Regina said, these hoes ain't loyal. Nobel Prize is a joke. Obama got the prize and didn't do anything to get rid of it and got it in his first day in office. Remember when they was offering it to Trump because he ended the Pakistan, India beef? And they was threatening a nuclear war, and Trump was able to negotiate them to chill out. And he convinced Kim Jong-un to denuclearize, even though he didn't, but he convinced him to sign a treaty. And they said, when Trump, look what he just did. He should get the peace treaty, but the Nobel Peace Prize, but they didn't give it to him. But Virginia says, is she another cosplaying tiny hat like the Mexican? I was just about to say that. What the hell? And I think her name is Feinstein or Feinbaum, whatever her name is. Trump came out and immediately said something about her too. Remember, she was talking big. She was talking big for a little while, like she was going to stand on something. And then Trump said, and then when the U.S. government said, hey, we're recognizing the cartel as terrorist organization, and all of a sudden she wanted some pushback on that. People are already accusing you of being a cartel puppet. So that just, yeah. Craig says she can't wait to get over there and put her hands on the wall. She's going to kiss it too. Be sure of that. They always bow down and kiss. Anyway, I want to show this picture too. I know y'all probably got it. Let me show this picture. They put Moderno in some night tech, some night tech clothes on a plane and sent his ass to America, or Gemma as they call it. They sent him to Gemma, I think. What's it called? I forgot. He's in America, obviously. This is a president that he just captured and just took him out of his own country. As I said earlier, China was in. They were deeply shocked by the attack of Venezuela. Venezuelan president will face New York. U.S. President Donald Trump says much still possible. Now, keep in mind, by the way, they took a so-called socialist president to New York who just voted for a socialist mayor and put him in a jail. Oh man. It's crazy. Now, I will say this too. The fact that they did this with Venezuela, I saw Marco Rubio also say, hey, Cuba, you should be a little bit afraid now. So if you're Cuba, Burkina Faso in Africa, China might just say F it and just go in and invade Taiwan now because they know America is playing these type of games now. Greenland. A lot of these countries are up for it now. Like, it was funny to me too also that Assata Shakur passed away, and now we see that Trump may possibly step into Cuba and take that over. It's like, man, if she still was alive, there would be absolutely a threat that they would go into that country and grab her. So it's kind of crazy. George says, what does Cuba have that they want? Who knows? I think Cuba has minerals and stuff. I know they was in Haiti for the longest for the gold and silver. We know Haiti has some oil, so I'm pretty sure Cuba has the same. Haiti and Cuba in general, they've been fucking with them for decades, so they clearly got something they want. Speaking of Burkina Faso, which is a place that will definitely be on the list, more than likely. I want to play this little clip here of this dude and his perspective on how we should treat countries like Burkina Faso that's trying to fight for freedom from the Europeans or whatever. But also, you gotta be careful to make sure you criticize them for their cultural beliefs. Let me play this.
Have a serious conversation about leftists and Pan-Africanists ignoring Black queer people in their analyses about Africa, about Burkina Faso in particular. My fucking God. That shit is it's so ignorant and empirically false, right? Like every time I see, a leftist or a Pan-Africanist get on here and talk about what's going on in Burkina Faso with their anti-queer laws and how they frame it, right? They always frame it like, you know, the state is lying about their laws because they're trying to do this to Burkina Faso. And like, that's not something that I don't agree with. I actually very much agree with the fact that the Western, like especially AFRICOM, a lot of Western nations, Western countries are banding together to disband Burkina Faso and what they have going on. Absolutely, I truly do believe that. But at the same time, in this analysis, Black queer people are ignored. It's just straight.
I'm showing this because I think two episodes ago I spoke about I think it was last episode. I'm sorry. Last episode I talked about insurgency. Talk about coin, counterinsurgency, and how these people are so worried about their identity politics that in a revolution it's diffused immediately because these people, they're so worried about other things. You have a country that is saying they're trying to form a revolution around nationalism and race, and you get online and you criticize their cultural beliefs when it comes to sexuality. That's what the last thing they're worried about is whether or not you like that or not. The point is much bigger, or supposed to be much broader than what you're bringing up. That video perfectly explained what I was saying last episode about how it's just this neutered group of people who just I was speaking about in particular the neutered white male last episode. We got to start talking about the neutered Black male as well. We got to start talking about that as well. War created revolutionaries. It was war. It was Vietnam. It was World War II. You know, those were the wars that created the revolutionaries of America. And now those people that go off the war aren't becoming activists. They're coming home as broken people more. And there's just no system for them to take that same thing they learned in that system, the military, and bring it back to their people. So now you got to deal with the people that come from the school system, the college system, and the scholars, so-called scholars. They come in now as the head of a so-called revolutionary. And this is what they want to talk about. All right, bro. All right. Anyway, moving on. Hold on, y'all. They talked about the woman, Representative Representative McCormick, the woman who stole the FEMA money, $109,000. The Haitian woman, they saying that she bought a ring with the money. I ain't gotta go through that one. What else? Oh yeah, I gotta show this. Speaking of that, people taking profits from the city or government to benefit themselves. I want to play this right here.
Of. I mean, you go down the roster.
This right here, the Prince George's County council members use their staffing budgets to hire their line sisters and cousins instead of competent advisors. What they won't tell you is a lot of these people have foreign lineage, so they do stuff to get visas and stuff for their family and friends to come into the country and benefit off the money and the possible jobs they can get.
Of. I mean, you go down the roster, the newer ones don't even have work experience outside of. So they don't even have a concept. Some of them never even had their own apartment, let alone a mortgage, until they became a council member.
I think you're giving them too much grace. As a person that has worked for council members, I'm a former policy advisor for the DC City Council. A lot of times the council member has no experience. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're supposed to hire a team, a policy advisor, lawyers, people with the economic background. They get a budget to hire a staff. And instead of hiring people that know, hey, this is our strategy, they bring in their homeboys and homegirls or cousins that have nothing. Never would depend on the council member alone, but they have a responsibility to hire a team of advisors. Been in any of their offices, I know you walk in there like, and you may say it in your head, but you walk in their office and you're like, how the fuck they get this job? You walk in any council member's office, From the person that's greeting you at the desk to the person that's calling you, the person with 10 DUIs that's now the chief of staff. They get it based off friendship instead of skill sets.
The Junebug list. Junebug and his
The
friends.
Peanut and Day list. Or they're hiring their cousin as a driver at an insane salary, and that salary could have been 2 policy advisors that just got their MBA out of Georgetown and advised a whole lot better.
Yeah,
and
but
I think
it's about.
So these people, just adding on to this, are coming to the country, going to the college, joining the sororities and the fraternities, and then going to these local governments and becoming council members and hiring their friends, hiring their cousins, hiring only, and a lot of this is immigrant. I'm not saying all, obviously. That's a lot of it. As somebody said right here, he said there are senior officials in Maryland who own assisted living facilities where they not only double dip in government cash, but they also facilitate work visas for foreigners. That's why the African population in the DMV is increasing. George says, don't be surprised if the same thing is happening in California and Washington. No question it is. Atlanta, we just saw Detroit get its first black female mayor, if I'm not mistaken. But unfortunately, it's probably happening there too. You got to apply the Carfax on a lot of these people. Jenny says, no few Americans allowed. Hey, man. Now I want to get to this because we're going to get to some more scamming with them Somalians right after this. I'm going to get to the Somalians after this right here. I want to play this small clip. I feel like I played this before. But I'm going to play it again. When this dude talked about when people say that the family broke apart when grandma died. I'm going to play a little bit of this, not the whole thing.
One of the funniest things to me is how much patriarchy has the black community in the chokehold, when in reality, our family and community structure is a matriarchy. And it's going to be a whole bunch of niggas saying that I'm lying and women can't lead, but please shut the fuck up. Your granny is the head of the family, bro. And it's not funny, but it's sad that y'all are just this willfully obtuse, bro. That's literally the oppressor whispering in your ear, dog. You know what I'm saying? And you need to dismantle that and dissect it and deal with that in your own time and not make the rest of us suffer for your own active ignorance and stupidity. And it's crazy to me that black women are our literal lifeline. They have led food into our mouth. They have led clothes on our backs. They have led a roof over our head. Like, what more can folks even ask for, dog? The best way to describe black women in the black community is they are like the Illuminati or the Akatsuki of the black community. They have allowed black men to live in this illusion of power that helps sustain our egos as we deal with white men, when they are the ones handling the real business in the background. And just allotted us this illusion of power just to keep the peace. And there's going to be a lot of little meat men that's going to get in the comments saying that I'm simping and I'm pandering and all this other stuff. But I can tell that you don't read. And I can tell you're one of the children that should have got left behind. And it's sad whenever I make a video talking about like misogyny, patriarchy, you know, protecting women, respecting women, all that different type of things. And I'm getting comments saying thank you. Like, you know, I appreciate it and all, but that's the bare minimum, bro. I don't know how the rest of these dudes grew up, but I... All
right, you get the point. So it came off of the point, like I said, when people say that the black community, as far as individual families, things change when Big Mama died. And how the family is broken up now and things aren't as close. And I say, when people say stuff like him, where he said that the black community is a matriarchy. Well, when other people say that, it's called a lie and said, no, this is a failed patriarchy. But the larger point I want to make is it because of the situation that is it because of the loss of Big Mama, or is it because the fall of marriage rates? Back in the day, you had a husband and wife, and they had children, probably 15 of them. And those 15 children, at least 11, 12 of them, when they got a wife or a husband. And then they had children. And in every event gathering, every family reunion, guess what? It's easier for a husband and wife to go to the husband's parents' house for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter Sunday, a family reunion. when we're both together, so we're joining our families. Not only am I going to my parents' house, your parents are going to come to over here too. So that led to a big family gathering. But the problem is people aren't married. So the child isn't going to a reunion or a family reunion with both sides of his family. He's going with either to his mother's side or his father's side. It's been split because of marriage rates. Then you ask the question, why did marriage rates fall? And you say, well, people blame it on education. The more upward mobility you give both demographics, the more likely they'll, quote unquote, raise their standards, and they're more likely to not have babies at a certain age and more likely to push marriage back to a later age. So people are getting married less, having less children, and you're surprised that things are changing in the Black community. And instead of acknowledging that part, you say it's because Black men have to have their ego stroked to be told that they're the leaders. What have you seen that says they're not? Because up until the 60s? Like this person right here said, the Black community became a matriarchy around the 60s when Black men started getting targeted and feminism backed by the government was introduced into the community. Consequently, the decline of the Black family started at that point, which led to, because of less marriages. He said, Granny was traditionally and not a modern Karen with attitude and weave. And that's the other point. Certain traditions weren't passed down. Certain beliefs were passed away because it's hard for Tasha, who went to college and got an MBA or when they got a PhD, to listen to her mother, who didn't graduate high school, talk about what you need to do as a wife. She looked at her mother and said, you didn't go to college. You didn't go to college. You got married at 19, 20 years old. You have 15 kids and we lived in poverty. Why would I listen to you? That's just the truth. The same thing for the son. So that's the real issue. Dude is low-key sus and Simptastic Simpson. Craig says, where do niggas like him keep coming from? I told you. Cohen counties, these people are being churned out of this college system. These gender studies type personalities. That's what these people are. The last dude I played who was talking about Burkina Faso, these are the same people. George said Black women make up over 50% of single moms. Trap disappeared. He's fun. All right. I just thought that topic keep coming up, and it's just people don't acknowledge the actual fact. Like the point of the family reunion was to make sure people keep in contact and to keep a strong family bond. But certain things and traditions weren't passed down. It is what it is. We kind of went away from a lot of it. We threw away a lot of the traditions from back then and said that it was old school and wasn't needed no more. We called it misogynistic, or we called it abuse, financial abuse, or whatever you want to call it. And so it led to what we have now, which is a broken system. I think the bigger problem is we got rid of a culture or a system before we replaced it with something else. We got rid of something before we replaced it with something else. But I mean, it's funny because that led to the conversation about soul food. And we saw the British woman saying that, everybody has a version of soul food. It's like, no, there was something innately unique about soul food amongst Black Americans. Speaking of soul food, let me show this right quick. The Lone Star tick. What to know about the tick that causes a red meat allergy. So there's a tick that's giving people an allergy to red meat. And it immediately made me think about the whole green energy solution and how they want to get rid of cows and all the cattle and farmers, and how they are now possibly going to use this to get people to you're not going to stop eating meat on your own. We're going to make you stop eating meat. You don't want to stop eating that fried chicken, those oxtails. You don't want to stop eating that soul food that we keep telling you is unhealthy. We'll just put something in your body to make you not want to eat it no more. Well, you can't eat it no more. I'm sorry. You're allergic to any red meat. You can't eat your steak. You can't eat none of that. Joe said you have to eat fake meat and roaches. Pretty much, the bugs lie. It's a bug's life at that point. What's the last tab? We're gonna get into this Somali daycare fraud. Virginia says those gender conversations are way too nuanced and so damn biased, and how they're discussed is so exhausting. To control and blame another is the real Hunger Games. Yeah, that's why I was saying it's a thing where people have decided to create an enemy of a ghost out of a ghost. So it is what it is. You got these dudes that get on the internet, this red pill thing. These dudes that get on the internet from a broken heart, or they never even been in a relationship, and they convince themselves that women are the greatest problem they've ever had. They don't acknowledge nothing they've ever done that's their own fault. It's always what she did, what she didn't do. Then you got the women that do get along and do the same thing. So it's a circular, which is what the internet is for. Like I said, it's a dead internet theory. Most of the posts you see are fake. It's not real. This is not a real person. It's rage bait. It's meant to cause conversation, drive traffic, so that somebody can make some money. So once you realize that, you're not as angry anymore when you read stupid stuff. George said, don't forget to talk about the Umar class action lawsuit. Phone of donors going to trial. I tried to find articles on it. I couldn't find nothing on it. So I'm waiting until it becomes like a bigger news thing. The stuff wet dreams are made of. Because that number they put out has been a number we've heard for 10 years. So the reaction I'm seeing is kind of hilarious to me. But we'll see what happens when it goes further. Trump administration freezes child care funding and fraud claims impacts on family providers and politics. He said, nah, this the year. All right, we'll see. So I'm pretty sure y'all have seen the thing going on with the Somalians in Minnesota. The white dude, what's his name? Nick Shirley. He went up there. He went to a child care center, said, hey, I want to see the kids. He said there was no kids. I got the video here. I'm not going to play it all. George says the person that made the documentary for Umar got $69K from Umar. What doc do we got? Sorry, hold on. What doc he got? And now they're going to try to say that he used the funds to pay for that doc? He used the money from Umar to find other donors and hired an attorney. Oh, he was paid to do a documentary, I guess you're saying. Or you said she used the money from Umar to find other donors and hired an attorney. So wait, he hired her to do a documentary and then she took the money to go get a lawyer? She got his donations. Yeah, okay. So now she got to prove that he was using the money in other ways to pay his bills and stuff. He lied to her. Oh, he said he was going to give her $69K and he didn't. I'll get more on it. But this right here is a video.
Ask where the money's going.
Here's my full 42-minute of a crew and I exposing Minnesota fraud. This might be the most important work yet. We uncovered over 110 million in one day. Like it and share it around the wildfire. It's time to hold these corrupt politician fraudsters accountable. Oh, he made her spend her own money. He did. He gave her the payout. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happened with that. So this white dude went to Minnesota. It blew up. Now they said that this story was created to distract from the Epstein stuff. That's the first thing I heard from it. But when it kept growing and growing and growing, and then this dude did that video, and as you can see, that video is now at, let me see how many views is it now? 137 million views of him going there. Now they said he went there after hours. They say he went there before the place opened. He was lying basically. In that video, he's lying. He was being deceptive or whatever. But there's other stuff that's just some truth that they can't get around. It's absolute facts. There's been people who have absolutely been charged with fraud in the daycare situation with the Somalians. I forgot. Of course, dude would know. I look for. I'm dead serious. Somali-owned daycare in South Minneapolis burglarized, vandalized days after viral video. So this led to a lot of stuff going on with these white people going up there trying to expose these daycare centers. I thought it was weird. I'm surprised that they were surprised they weren't allowed in some of these buildings. Like, yeah, I'm not letting some random white dude with a camera say, let me see the kids. Like, yeah, you probably not gonna get let in. But he also exposed this dude right here. They said these glasses he got on is $2,000. It's like, well, maybe he's just doing well for himself. Yeah, I knew George was gonna bring it up. Them glasses, that dude with the hat coat, $2,400. Yeah, they on his ass. Maybe the dude just doing well for himself. But we know that's more than likely not true. But so they go into these places. It's causing a big uproar around the country. I know here in Washington, there's also been some investigations going on up here. And it's funny enough, they just got rid of the old mayor. But fraud allegations close in on Somalia's top diplomats. So this man here is a diplomat for Somalia. Allegations mounted against Somalia's foreign minister and UN envoy as U.S. Congress probes massive Minnesota fraud. He also owns a daycare in Ohio. Serious and escalating allegations are now circling the very top of Somalia's diplomatic establishment, colliding directly with the widening United States congressional investigations into the lawmakers describe as billions of dollars in fraud and misuse of federal funds in Minnesota. The first number I heard a few weeks ago was $3 billion. And it's like, damn, that's a lot. Okay. And then it jumped to $6 billion. And then I seen a number like $18 billion. It's like, all right. If we did a real audit, right, of the American local financial government, the local governments around the country, a financial audit, how much fraud do you think we'll find? Trillions, right? Or at least hundreds of billions. We just saw in the last 20 years or so, 30 years or so, that the so-called Pentagon so-called lost or misplaced, right? So-called lost or misplaced, like trillions of dollars. The Pentagon, they just don't know where trillions of dollars just disappeared. They don't know what they spent it on. They don't have receipts for nothing. They don't have no proof of where it went. So what you think happening in these local governments when they just managing a couple million? Some of these places, obviously others, the big metropolitan cities, they dealing with billions as well. But this is not a surprise. I'm pretty sure it's much bigger than this. And I think it's a lot of other business opportunities and these other specialized things that's doing way more fraud than just these daycares. These children, whatchamacallit. George says they learned from Umar, but they got the connections from on high. But Black Americans from slaves can't get reparations. And that's another thing. I said this a month ago. I said, Black people, what? We aren't good criminals. Like, how is it they can come here and run the system like this? Like, they come here within a few decades, they pulling off schemes like this, getting millions. We been here for, like, why aren't our schemes and our criminality this financially lucrative? That's what I want to know. I've just said 369. Is that the amount of money? Billion? Multiple credible sources allege that Somalia's foreign minister, Abdi Ali, and Somalia's ambassador to the United Nations, Abkar Dahir Osam, while holding senior government posts, were linked to the entity known as Progressive Healthcare Services, Inc., registered in Minneapolis. According to investigators and independent reporting, the entity appears to have been non-operating, raising red flags about misrepresentation, conflicts of interest, and potential violations of U.S. law. Both men are reportedly naturalized U.S. citizens, placing an alleged financial misconduct squarely within U.S. jurisdiction. Oh, man, is that Seminole Somali congresswoman did it all? Well, it's funny you bring her up because she's tied into this somehow. She took the wrong picture. This is just a map of them trying to keep track with all the organizations and who they donated to politically. Obviously, they want to know who, what that is. They named the website Somali Scan. Total frauds track, organizations track. So 6.7 million organizations track, and they've found 824 million in fraud in this little website here. George said she created a legislator for those daycare funds. Well, I think I got this right here.
This building right behind me has 22 different home and community-based healthcare companies registered in the building. It's only 4 floors. I walked in there yesterday trying to find a number of them. Many of them are they appear to be just window fronts, door fronts, with nobody behind. So same story, different location. We're here in St. Paul at this building, which looks like a warehouse or a dilapidated old building. Inside this building, there are 60 registered home and community health care organizations inside this one building. We're here in Northeast Minneapolis, and we're at a building that I believe is on the radar of authorities. They have questions about it. A lot of the businesses in here are home health care businesses. Of the total businesses, there's 37. 17 of them are home health care businesses.
The daycare owner? What do you need? Is this an actual daycare, or are you aware of the Somali daycare fraud going on? We're just trying to check out if this is a real daycare.
I am US citizen. I am working now. Yeah. Okay? I work. Okay? You don't have to discuss to come to my home. That's not right to
Where
come.
are all the children? If you have a daycare, where are all the children?
I don't have to tell you what I have, what I don't have.
Are you a
I have
legitimate
children
daycare?
there. Okay?
Can you show me proof you're a daycare?
I'm not proving anything for you. Are you government?
Can I bring the government here to inspect you?
I don't mind.
Yeah, it's been a rough run in some of these situations. Kind of just, George said she made sure there was no oversight for it. She said there needs to be better regulators, but she was responsible for the regulators since its inception. That shit looks preposterous as fuck. She sounds rich. This right here, picture right here. So as you can see right here, they first said the Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis, the one at the heart of the recent daycare fraud allegations, was previously known as Salama Child Care Center. The same building was raided by the FBI in 2015 for allegedly billing the state for more than children, for allegedly billing the state for more children than they were actually present. After the raid, the license was revoked, but the new one was issued in 2017 under the new name at the exact same location. And yes, it's still owned by the same family. The current manager has publicly said his parents own it, linking back to the prior operator involved in 2015 case. Now this right here, Quality Learning Center used to be the Salama Child Care Center, ran by a woman named Isiah Sheikh Ali, who went to federal prison for fraud. This is right her on the right. Who is this in the pic with her on the left? It's Miss Ohar. What's her name? Damn, I forgot her name in a quick second. Ohar, whatever you say her name. Georgia, she sounds like she gives zero fuck. Keep her laughing. Look, they've been trying to get her up out of here for a couple years. She's done dodged a lot of bullets. She's been able to survive for a little longer. But if they jam her up, if she get jammed up on fraud, that's gonna be crazy. George said if it was actually black folk, it would have been shut down. They would have been in prison. Exactly. That's what's crazy. Like I said, they just better criminals now. They just get allowed to get away with stuff because that's just insane. Moving on, because as much as they keep spoken on the Somalis, as I said earlier, if you did an audit to all these little local governments in the country, you'll find that this is pretty normal. This is one right here. Convicted fraudster listed as person of contact in 47 Minnesota child care report. This is a white woman, so it ain't just the Somalis. The white ones are taking advantage of it too. They show the picture here. All the ones she's associated with. Family First Choice Child Care, Glenwood Child Care, Minnesota Best Child Care Center. Like millions, still in millions. It's crazy. There was another one. Healthcare fraudster Philip is latest Trump clemency recipient to be arrested. Now he just did this right here. When was this? This was 2024 when Trump helped this dude pardon this dude for his frauding. But you know, he got the complexion for protection. That's old. We already talked about that. But yeah, it is what it is. Just a white woman stole $240 million, only has to pay back $5.2 million. Exactly. They already took 3. Oh man, it's like they literally living life on easy mode. But yeah, y'all see Ramaswamy getting cut up. How the whites done with him now? He's calling the right people who live in identity politics as much as the left-wing people. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy rebrands himself as a conservative without being combative. They done with you, bruh. They don't call that man all type of racial slurs. They don't told him to his face multiple times when he did these speaking engagements. You're not us. We don't care. You'll never be us. You're a foreigner. You're an immigrant. They don't care. They're never going to get behind you. As a matter of fact, his words, somehow this Republican, Vivek Ramaswamy, and his race, he's getting out nationalized by a left-leaning person, a Democrat. A Democrat is using nationalism to beat him. Now keep in mind, the Democrats are supposed to be anti-nationalism because you're not supposed to be that pro-America. It leads into white nationalism, as they call it. But he's being beat by nationalism by a Democrat because he can't stand on that leg because he's an immigrant. Jenna says, I wonder if treaties are why immigrants are allowed to get away with so much, whereas the actual American copper being thrown in jail. Key toss, never getting out. Or it could be because they still see U.S. property. Yeah, that's another one. You're still in this country. You're called a citizen, but yeah. All right, let me play this one right here. This is an ad that his opponent did, his Democratic opponent. This group of people, Americans, are reading with that tweet he put out last year when he said that America doesn't have an IQ problem in the workforce when it comes to tech jobs and stuff. They have a culture problem. So the Indian immigrant called out the American culture being mediocre.
The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit.
A key part of it comes down to the C word.
The C word.
The C word. Culture. Our American culture is venerated mediocrity.
Venerated mediocrity.
Venerated mediocrity.
A culture that celebrates the prom queen
over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian.
Will not produce the best engineers.
More math tutoring, fewer sleepovers.
More weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons.
More books, less TV.
More creating, less.
So all she had him do, all these people do was read that message he put out on his critique of American culture. And apparently she's up in the polls already. So the Democrat is going to beat the Republican through nationalism. That is hilarious. Property and food, book a delectable Negro. George said he didn't lie, but fuck him. Craig said the K people tore his ass up. Boy, they've been on him for a while. Since that tweet, I think he know he's burned that bridge completely, which is he tried to start going more moderate in his comments and stuff, but you can't be that type of radical, a person that's willing to step out and say that type of radical things and what you think is the honest truth, that blunt truth, and then try to put the toothpaste back in the tooth. It's not happening. You're cooked, you're done. But he don't care. Ain't he a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken? Like, you don't really care. People like him are not looking for a seat to actually change things. They're just looking for more power. This is like a hobby to him. He's trying to find a way to get a little more power. Virginia says, venerate mediocrity sounds like the American pale man. I mean, you got a woman sitting there generating billions, and she literally can't dance, sing, nothing. And they tell you, but we just like her. So it is what it is. George says, once you bend over and your whole all right. Yeah. That's pretty much it, man. I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. 2026 is here. Another year to try to do what we're looking forward to. Hopefully we get the blessings and keep the peace. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Appreciate the support as always. We're gonna see how this roller coaster rock, man. We're gonna see how far they go. It started with a war pretty much already. Craig says, I wasn't going to vote for you because you're an Indian. Y'all remember that? Yeah. Told him to his face. I wasn't voting for you. You're Indian. What's her name? The white woman told him that. Yeah, I was never gonna vote for you. Virginia says, thanks for the show, Duke. And strong everyone to start for the Fresh. Kiefer, have a good week. Shout out to y'all. Umar Apocalypse is here. Prayer, peace, family, peace to y'all. And as always, thank y'all for coming through. Be sure to share it if you can. Like it on your way out. And as always, and Culture, yeah. She told him to his face. Told him to his face. In front of, on television. And he had to walk away with that egg on his face. But it is what it is. But thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate the support as always. And be safe. All praise to the Most High. And peace, man.